Good afternoon, Cross Timbers. Today is Wednesday, March 30th, 2016. This is Texan TV News from Tarleton State University in Stephenville, Texas, and I am Alejandra Arreguin. Here are today's top stories. In campus news, last night, students from the National Society of Leadership and Success sponsored their annual Senior Citizen Dance at the Stephenville Senior Dance Center. Students and seniors danced the night away. In local news, the Erath County Sheriff Department has a new Facebook page that will be used to reach out to students to residents to help them find any suspects with outstanding warrants. The Facebook page will include a picture of the suspect with a description of the crime every Monday. Right now, the Sheriff Department is looking for Ricky Edward Saxon, who's accused of stealing hand tools from an area church. Lieutenant Bobby Mendez said they have been trying to locate him since September, and that not all the tools belong to their church. Some belong to other people, so there are multiple warrants. Saxon's last known address was in Dublin, but he no longer lives there. Saxon currently has 5 outstanding warrants, and his charges have been enhanced due to prior convictions. If you have information about Saxon, contact the Sheriff's Office at 965-33A or Erath County Crime Stoppers at 965-2274. In state news, a father who killed his 2 young daughters is set to be executed today. After spending over 14 years on death row, 60-year-old John David Battaglia is scheduled to die by lethal injection today at 6 p.m., making him the 10th inmate executed this year nationally and the 6th in Texas. Back in 2001, Battaglia was enraged at his ex-wife for going to the police for harassment when he used a visit with his 2 daughters to avenge that anger. He arranged a call with his ex-wife, who listened on the phone, and the girls begged for mercy. He killed both girls and headed to a tattoo parlor to have 2 red roses tattooed on his arm in memory, he said. Testimony at his trial showed that he had been violent with his first wife as well. During his punishment phase, jurors headed testimony that Battaglia's mental illness should convince him a life in prison sentence will be more appropriate. However, they did not agree. A former security guard serving a life sentence in the 1957 slaying of a 7-year-old Illinois girl pleaded with a judge Tuesday to consider his bid for freedom as soon as possible, citing a prosecutor's scathing review of the investigation that landed him in prison. 76-year-old Jack McCullough was arrested in Washington State in 2011 and convicted in 2012 in Illinois for the slaying of Maria Rudolph, his neighbor in the community of Sycamore. She was abducted while playing in the snow in the evening of December 3, 1957. Prosecutors said McCullough choked and stabbed her to death, then dumped her body in a forest. It was one of the oldest cases in the U.S. ever to go to trial. The hearing came after DeKalb County State's Attorney Richard Schmack made a filing last week that he portrayed the investigation and prosecution of McCullough as deeply flawed. New evidence plus a re-examination of hundreds of old cases files, he said, convinced him McCullough couldn't possibly have killed Rudolph. McCullough represented himself at Tuesday's hearing and appointed with an attorney for his statute hearing on April 15. A flight from Egypt to Syracuse was hijacked yesterday and was threatened to be blown up by a man said to be psychologically unstable. The plane was carrying 72 passengers, including about 24 foreigners. The explosives were later deemed fake as the Egyptian man surrendered after a 6-hour standoff, leaving all passengers unharmed. The 59-year-old Egyptian was taken into custody after gathering more information. Authorities believe this was a family issue with his former wife rather than an act of terrorism. Egyptian officials strongly defend their security, saying it was not to blame for the incident. They also praised the Egyptian flight crew. Pilot Arm Gamal told the Associated Press, "We rescued all the people and the man got arrested." For more of today's national news, we turn to the Associated Press for the AP News Minute.
This is AP News Minute. Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump says he's no longer pledging to support the Republican presidential nominee if it isn't him. Trump made the statement in a CNN town hall. Senator Ted Cruz and Governor John Kasich were vague about whether they would be willing to support Trump. Top United Nations officials are meeting in Switzerland to discuss resettling Syrian refugees. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon calls the Syrian situation the biggest refugee and displacement crisis of our time. Officials in South Florida say a lightning strike hurt 3 firefighters on Tuesday. 2 had minor injuries, 1 had a seizure. All 3 were hospitalized and are expected to recover. And an Oklahoma couple claims they found the head and leg of a mouse in a can of green beans. The Best Choice Food Company says it pulled all green bean cans off Oklahoma store shelves while it investigates. Sandy Kozel, The Associated Press, with AP News Minute.
For today's weather forecast, today we could see scattered showers and thunderstorms. Some storms may be severe. The high of today is 81 degrees with winds out of the southwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Tonight, expect more scattered showers with a low in the 50s. Today's broadcast was produced by Sydney Burns, Candy Carpenter, and Rebecca Hernandez. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and make sure to check out our website at www.texannews.net. Tune in tomorrow for the latest news from the Tarleton State University campus in Stephenville, Texas.